Hi Ian, I'm just going to do another Photoshop tutorial. In case you haven't noticed already, this is my Facebook page. Like it, and you can get in touch via Facebook, and there's like different sketches and renders on here. And I also put links onto here and updates about the book I'm working on, which is basically it's that car. Yeah, so like if you like. Got a Wacom there, so this is without a mouse. Thank God. Just loaded another sketch, so I'm just going to render this sketch. Now, if you've watched previous tutorials, I won't do as much talking about the tools, I'll just do the process. And I'm going to try and do this as quick as I can, so it's 11:15, so... right, what I'm going to do, I'm going to copy this, I'm going to, using the marquee tool, I'll just copy, I'm going to do a Command N, and I'm going to do an international paper. I'm going to set that to A3, quite high res, and just rotate that so it's landscape. So what I can do, I can paste this into here now, and just scale that up if I want, etc. But there's also something that someone told me not too long ago actually. If I wanted to duplicate this, you can go to your layers bar and you can right click and duplicate the layer, and then this little box pops up. Now here you can actually duplicate it to a different file. So I can duplicate it to Untitled 1, and there it is, sat in the middle. And this is actually quite good for, so if I do a new, I'll do a new, and it's exactly the same size as this sheet. I just want to show you something. Again, I'll rotate that 90 degrees. So if I'm going from Untitled 1, and I say I want this to be this small in this corner, if you right click and duplicate layer and say I want to send it to the Untitled 2, you'll notice it appears in the exact same place, which is quite handy when you're doing presentations. So i.e. if this is a presentation, you're splitting it onto separate pages, and you've got things like titles that you want in the same place, and you've got like a logo or something. You can just duplicate from one file to another and it will stay in the same place provided the document size is the same. So that's quite helpful, especially when you're doing presentations. But anyway, same process as before when I was showing you guys how to how to get these sketches looking half decent if you want to keep them. I'm gonna have to change it because this is, it's not too much contrast between the line work and the actual background. I'm gonna have to remove that grey, bring up the black, turn the grey back down, bring the white in. And basically what I'm trying to do here is just trying to get better contrast between these so that I can still pick up a certain amount of the sketch, so that when I do a colour range and I pick on one of these random little things, or actually if I just pick something that's black and then move this, and based on the preview, as soon as I start to get fuzzy, I don't want that. That there looks fine. Actually no, because that just doesn't pick up anything. Basically I'm going to lose all that because there's not enough. The sketch is basically, it's too light. It's not dark enough, so not enough contrast. I'm not going to sit there and mess around with it on here when I've done it before. So ignoring all that, because I've got a Wacom as well, and rather than pathing out like I was doing before, I'm gonna just go ahead and start to brush in some stuff. I'm gonna pick a colour. Actually, I'll do a grayscale render first, just because it's the basics. So I'm gonna pick a grey that I've had before. I'm gonna get the gradient tool. On a new layer, I'm going to do a gradient. Actually, like I've done before, actually I'll do it with the gradient tool on here, just so I can tweak and change. So I'm going to add some colour, and I want an actual coloured render, so I'm going to do something unusual. I don't normally do green, so this is a whole. I'm going to push myself out of the comfort zone and delete that one and do this. I'll do that. Now this would help actually if I did that colour in a swatch. And I'm going to fade. I'm going to let that fade out actually. So yeah, we'll go with that. Now I'm going to press B on my keyboard and get my brush tool. Cancel. You have to put a new layer for the tool to be in. See, it's inactive on that layer because that's a gradient layer. It's not a renderable layer. So on a new layer, your brush tool is active. So I've got press B on the keyboard, you get your brush tool. I'm going to hold Alt, and that'll let me pick a colour, and then that will appear over here. I'm going to double click and I'm going to add to swatch. And then what I'm going to do, I'm literally going to start. I'm going to bring the sketch onto the top, and I'm going to put that on overlay. We'll put it on multiply for now, and I'll just really turn the opacity down. And eventually, the intention is to get rid of that. So on a nice new clean line now, I'm going to get green, and I'm going to build this up with. I'll leave it on normal for now, and I'm going to airbrush in the actual main body area, and now I'm going to start to do. At the minute, if I'm brushing now, but you can't really see a difference because it's set to normal. I'm using the same colour on top of the colour that's below it. So clicking on multiply, and that makes it darker based on what's below it. So that's why it's the same colour as suddenly it's darker green. I'm just going to get the eraser and do this freehand on the tablet. And I'm going to increase the hardness because it's not erasing enough or as cleanly as I'd like. So just try. I'm not going to say 100% to the actual sketch, but just going to soften that up a bit down there. And then I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to get a soft airbrush and on a new layer, the brush. Paint over that again, but again I'm going to put that on multiply. And really want to intensify that colour. Same process, I'm just going to wax on, wax off sort of thing, so paint on and then raise away. As my previous tutorial, you do this with a mouse and it's so much harder trying to do with a mouse because it's not like using your hand to draw with a pen, although you can give it a good go. And then I'm going to get a black. Paint that in. Press R on the keyboard and I can rotate my page. It's kind of like a toggle, it toggles on and off, so rather than click and hold like you do in SketchUp Pro, you kind of just toggle it on and off. That's going to be some kind of air outlet beyond the front wheel. And although that green isn't really enough contrast for me, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to try, I'm going to cancel that. I'm going to pick this colour up, and then what I'm going to do, I'm going to move it down and get something slightly darker, just so there's just more contrast in it. And then with that, I'm going to add to swatch, and then I'm going to get something probably even darker still. I keep forgetting to press add to swatches. Yeah, and then I might change the colour slightly. Only slightly. That's the swatch as well. So I'm going to select the darkest one, and then I'm just going to do that again. Yeah, that way it turns out, yeah, there's more contrast there, it looks a lot better. So I'm just going to erase all that. And then I'm going to soften that, because that erases quite a lot there. I don't want to erase that much, and that's because the opacity of the eraser is 100% and the flow is 100%. So what I'm going to do, and also hardness when you right click. When I'm right clicking, this is the same as going up here. I'm just right clicking to get up because it's easier. And I'm just going to do that again. And this time I'll multiply this layer. And there's a slight colour change, but I'm going to go with it and just keep going. And now you can see, because the eraser isn't at 100%, it takes a few attempts to erase it completely. Even with 100%, it takes a few attempts. It's never perfect. And you'll find lots of little dirty smudges in your renderings, which is a real pain. Okay, so that's nice and dark down there. And we'll do a new layer, do the same thing again. I'm just going to show the negative under here. And I'm going to, as it kind of, it's negative, so the surface is facing down. And then as it twists through here, it then becomes positive facing up. So there's going to be a transition there, which means the lighting on the surface is going to change. So it's going to be darker here, and then it's going to get lighter and then white. So I'm just going to use a soft eraser, and I've done this by, oh, hang on, put that back to dark grey. Oh, if you want to change the background, just right click in the background, you can change it. I'm going to set my brush to soft, quite a large brush as well. Opacity 44, and then that way, when you erase, it's nice and soft, based on your pen pressure. Underneath that layer though, I'm going to do just a normal darker green. Or is that slightly different to the one I did before? It needs to be multiplied as well. So you can see how it starts to build up. So I just press E for the eraser rather than clicking over there. So rather than me travelling across the screen all the time, I use all the hotkeys, which I explained in the previous tutorial. So just erase all like that. And I'm using the parentheses or the brackets, open brackets, which is to the right of the letter P on your keyboard. Using those up and down to change the size of the brush. So you can see where there's a bit of form coming into this now. That's because of that. I'm going to use that colour. I'm going to do a highlight now, and somewhere in there it's going to be the highlight. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the eraser just to erase to that edge, so it doesn't really affect what's happening down there or what's happening in there, as that's all under shadow, that's all negative. If I press Command I, it's inversed that layer, that colour, which means it's easier for me to see where this colour hasn't been erased. Look, so if I pull that back up to 100%, and that way I can there is stuff that's been left, it's not been erased. That way you won't find random builds up of colour, and when you've got 200 layers, which does happen, you won't be like, oh, where's that gone? Where do I need to find that thing that I can't get rid of? And it will be really annoying. Right, so I'm just going to soften that edge up. Not that much. If you hold Alt, Command and Shift, you can go back, but if you do undo, it'll just keep going backwards one. But Command, Alt and Shift will actually erase more than once, or undo more than once I should say, not erase. I'm going to soften the top of this off. I'm going to invert that back. Actually, I'm going to erase the shoulder. Okay, so there is still some colour there, but anyway. So if I press Command I again now, it got back to the original colour because it's just flipped it. And then if I do an overlay, it makes it kind of yellow. If I do a colour dodge, it does that sort of colour, which would be quite interesting. What you can do, if you press question mark on your keyboard, that little padlock appears, and that is that icon there. The shortcut is question mark. And what that does, that locks the pixels. So I can only draw on this layer now where there's been pixels. So over here, it won't let me draw because there's no pixels on that layer. Here, I can, because there's pixels there. So that's called lock transparency. And now it doesn't want to let me, is it because it's undone? For some reason now it's not letting me undo. Oh wait, no, Photoshop's froze. That's better. Yeah, so lock transparency is quite good if you want to just change the colour of something quickly. I'm going to change this to a white just to get some more contrast in there, really. So I'm going to lock the layer and I'm just going to change that to a white. And there's also, I want that crease to carry on through there. So I'm just going to get a really small eraser. I'm just going to show how that bends. Just by doing that. And then I'm going to soften the one side. And yet it's still rising quite a lot. Strange. Oh, it's locked. Yeah, God, that's better. Just want to soften that up a bit, just to I'm holding Z to zoom in as well, in case you haven't noticed. I'm going to get a green, and then I'm going to do multiply layer in here just to emphasise the negative. I'm just going to erase. It's kind of getting there, kind of happy with it. Back to the dark green, I'm going to do a dark area on the top side of the wheel arch. Let's just erase all that. And again, getting a softer, soften that up a bit, and put a multiply. Then I'm going to get a white, nice and soft. I'm just going to pop in a few highlights, go to my eraser, and then again, same sort of process, similar to what I do in Sketchbook, if you watch the other videos. Just wait for Photoshop to catch up. So yeah, again, I'm going to, if I inverse that now, you'll see where I haven't erased. So it's quite frustrating. You will notice builds up of colours over a lot of layers. You will notice it, especially when you've got layer effects on top, and it will get on your nerves when you're trying to do your final renderings for your final presentations. It will be rather frustrating. So I'm going to use a soft eraser again. And I'm going to put highlights in there. Then I'm going to get green again, and I'm going to do the dark one, and I'm going to do the shadow down here to show there's a bit of a transition in the surface around the wheel. And then again, I'm just going to get a hard eraser, make that really solid, and just really cleanly erase those lines. So there we go, that's and then depending on what style you want is where your artistic license comes in. As long as you render stuff correctly. Like what I'll do now, I'll make a harsh crease or a harsh erase. And then what I'll do, I'll get a soft eraser. And then I'll really make that really soft and really light and get it quite large. And really lightly gradually erase that away. Sorry. And then what you read that is, because you can still see that crease, that harsh line, kind of gives the impression that you're trying to like reflect the ground plane or the horizon line. So I do that for all my shiny surfaces. So right now, if I get white again, and oh, that's not on the right layer, is it? Where is it? Oh, I don't know, I want the same layer. Fail. Right. So if I do another one of these, this time get a really harsh line. You can barely see that. Let's try that on a particular layer. It's not really making much difference because it's white, that's wrong. So you can barely see that. If I start dial down this as well, it doesn't help because that's so fuzzy and grainy, and I've got that on top actually, so everything will appear quite white, so it looks a bit more metallic and less fuzzy. What I'll do now for the purpose of showing you all this, I'm going to path out this edge, which you can probably tell is so much quicker when you've got a tablet and you're using your hand as you would a pencil. Now I'm not going to actually path out an actual area to run in like I do when I've got a mouse, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to stroke the line to give me a part line in the surface. So I'm just going to pull all these out so that they're about right. I'm going to go to the direct selection tool just to manipulate those, just so. Pull that one down. Try and fit this as close to the sketch as possible. I'm not going to spend too much time on it. And then along that edge, some areas I want to be in shadow, and some areas I want to be like a highlight hit and a rolled edge. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get a really small brush, which in this case is will help with doing a new layer. That's quite thick. Opacity. So I want 3. Yeah, we'll do a 3. And on a new layer, I'm going to go to the path where that is. Just going to save the path so it doesn't delete itself. I'm going to click this icon down here a few times. You notice it's stroking a line, it's called stroke, along that path. And it's done with the selected colour, which is in this case is white. And it's based on the brush size as well. So then that gives me a nice line. And then what I can do, if I press V on the keyboard to get the move tool, hold Alt and just drag while still holding Alt. And that's what all that's done is duplicate that. And you see now it says 19 copy. And press V so you've got your move tool, and you can just nudge that layer, and it'll just affect just that layer. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to press Command I so it flips from white to black. And then I'm going to start erasing where I don't want. So I'm going to fade it out down here. I want to keep that edge there, but here I kind of don't want that there. But then all that area is fine. And then I'm going to start mixing this up now. I'm going to start using black on top of this, I think. I'm going to get a nice hard, nice soft brush. And I'm just going to put some kind of ambient shadow underneath here to show that these surfaces aren't the same, and there's kind of like an overlap. But I'm just trying to do it really subtle. I know it doesn't look subtle at the minute, but it all will be revealed. So I'm just going to dial that down so I can see when I'm going to erase. But what I can also do, I can go back to this path, and with the pen tool, select the path first, pen tool, select on that point there, and carry on as if nothing happened. And then I can make it selected, which is a dotted line. And then that, I'm going to accurately delete that. So nice, crisp, clean. See that there's a bit here where it's missed, look, so I'm just going to erase that. Can't have that now. Yeah, that looks about right. Now with the eraser, nice and soft, nice and big. Not quite that big though. So we're at about half an hour in a minute. Alright. I'm just going to erase that quite softly and scan this brush down eventually. Just start to get some shape into there. So I've erased quite a lot of that just to get a nice soft. And I want this to almost be like a wing coming off, so it kind of gets a further distance away sort of thing. Really emphasises negative down here. And then again with that path, this is the beauty of Photoshop compared to Sketchbook, is you can use a path to get really crisp. And it's not really so dependent on your line work. So you don't have to have amazing line work to get a really tight rendering. And then I'm just going to tone that down a little bit. I don't want it to be too black, but I want it to show what is going on at the same time. Now what I can do, select the same path, I'm going to press Command Shift and I, and then what that's done, it's made this area here selected, not the actual inside of the path, the outside of the path is now selected. So what I can do, I can draw on the other side now. So I can get quite a small brush and just go around the edge of here, and you'll see the effect it gives. It's like casting a shadow on the surface below. Just really darken that up. Just so then you'll read that now, and you definitely know that that surface, and just press R and rotate the page so it's easy to draw. That surface is definitely above the other one. And then obviously the same again, it's going to cast a shadow, not so much here, but you need to make it obvious that it's above the other surface. And then I will actually just slightly erase that one side, only because light can get onto that side underneath it. And then I'm going to put a nice highlight down the actual, what would be a windscreen, but I'm assuming that there's no need for windscreens anymore because it's all autonomous. So I'm going to get a nice big airbrush, soft, nice and soft, and then I'm just going to do it quite large at first. I'm going to scale it down, and on the same layer, I'm going to do anything else, just do it more times there, so you get like a hot spot. And I'm going to try and keep that to like the side of the actual part. And then what you can do now is get a nice crisp centre line and path out a nice centre line right down to the bonnet. And I'm going to go well off the page, well out of the way. All I'm going to do is manipulate that so it makes a nice curve depending on what your intentions are. So I'm just going to pull these around a bit, try and find some kind of nice proportion. And try and emphasise there is a transition going on in here. So I'm going to pull that down here maybe. And then with that selected, that's highlighted all this area. On the white layer, I'll press delete. And then I'm going to go back to the first path. And then I'm going to Command Shift, actually make it selected first. Command Shift and I to invert. And then I'm going to do this with the eraser freehand. I'm just going to softly erase all that. But I don't mind keeping part of it in. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to move that layer underneath the black shadows so that these black areas here are on top of the white. So now what that's done is there's a gap between this white area and this white area. You can see it follows through, but there's a black bit on top of it. And then I'm also just going to use the V key, and I'm just going to move it away from the edge. And you'll notice here you start to reveal a bit of the green. And what that does, it just implies there's a bit of a thickness here, there's like a rolled edge. And then from freehand now, just going to get a nice soft eraser. I'm just going to erase to this now. And I'm going to take out the harshness of the actual line without completely removing the line. And then in contrast, because there's quite a lot of white going on here, in contrast I'm going to do kind of what I did down here. I'm going to get a dark green. And then I'm going to path out this point here. I'm going to bring it up to here. And then tie it down to the centre of the car. Just kind of get it to follow what the surface is going to do. But it's mainly just to get the crease in the actual front wing defined more than anything else, nice and neat. Because if you're using Photoshop, you might also use the advantages of Photoshop and get these nice clean renders. So with that selected, I'm going to draw within that area now with a green that's quite dark. And then what I will do is I will set that to multiply. And I'm going to do this so I want it really dark here. I want to kind of fade out, get like a nice gradual fade. And then also I'm going to find this white spot here. You can see where this white is creeping over that line. So I'm going to find that layer that's up white. Now because I can see it on top of the green, I know it's going to be one of the layers above. So I'm just going to find that layer, which is there. And I'm just going to press delete, and it will just delete that line. And back to this green layer. So that's on normal, I didn't even have to multiply, and I've got quite a nice contrast. I'm just going to softly erase all this. Just remove that harsh line. Almost entirely down the bonnet because it's not really going to be an effect there. I just want to show the transition from the top of the wheel arch into the side of the window. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to select that path again. And then get a brush on a new layer. And I'm going to do the same thing, get that dark green. I'm just going to fill in here, I'm just going to build it up in a few layers. Literally just a few layers. And then that layer I'm going to set to multiply, which really darkens that up. And I'm going to softly erase this side and softly erase there. Sure to really get that there's a transition going on there. And that white layer, just going to move it down a bit. And if you go to the ellipse tool, I'm going to make a path. Just going to get a path to show what happens in this wheel arch. I'm going to duplicate those. with the direct selection tool. I'm just going to manipulate those, but I'm going to make these widen out a bit, quite up a bit, quite up a bit. It's not necessarily correct, I don't think, but more just to show you the actual method. Select the outside line on a new layer. I'm going to do white. Just fill that in. And then on that same layer, I'm going to select the inside line. And then I'm going to press delete. And then you get that kind of soften it up a bit, and I'm just going to scale it up. Actually, it's a bit too small for that shot, that very much. And it's just, well, it just looks wrong altogether, to be honest. But I'm start to get a bit of reflections going on in here. And I'll do the same on this side. Again, I'm just going to try and follow what a highlight would do if it was running over the surface of the car. And if you are studying industrial design, I would highly recommend learning 3D program, so you can grasp what surfaces do and what highlights do over surfaces, and really learn the effect of a highlight on a surface. And you pick it up from doing a lot of 3D work, and you'll model something and then you'll realise what the light does over it, how it reacts with its environment. So it's always good to have a knowledge of 3D package of some form. And being a car designer, well, I'm a product designer, but I did automotive design at Coventry. So I'd highly recommend using Alias. I wouldn't recommend anything else for design. You could, although Maya's quite good, but that's more animation. But yeah, if you're a design student, look into Alias, made by Autodesk, because it's pretty amazing. Okay. And then I'm going to add a bit of black down here. What are we at time wise? 45 minutes. Also, if you are a student and you're looking to learn 3D programs, Autodesk do a student license for free, or at least they used to. I don't know if they still do or not. You used to be able to get a 3 years license for all their software. So if you're a student, go over to Autodesk and check out the student community. It's part of their website. If you're at uni, log in and take advantage of what they do. Alright, and you can see how this is going to slowly build up now in the layers. This one's a bit too bright for me, so I'm going to turn that down a bit. And I'm going to do another layer. Wacom mill multiply. Again, quickly path this out. Just switch my direct selection tool. Pull that in a bit. It's kind of getting away from the sketch a bit. And then I'm just going to delete the part I don't want. As before, I'm just going to soften that up a bit. And then in contrast to that, I'm then going to do a new layer, which is going to be the rolling on the back of the car. And the surface just rolls over from the centre line. And then soft erase, I'm just going to erase that. And kind of, I'm going to pull that down below the black. Pretty well down. I'm just going to turn it down a bit as well. Then, as it starts to roll into the side of the actual windows and whatnot, I'm going to do a new layer on top of that one. Again, new layer. My voice is starting to go now. I'm just going to use this dark edge just to define the back of that wheel arch on the opposite side. Then put that on multiply, soften that up a bit. Then I'm going to go white, bright white. And then I'm just going to build that up 300 for now. So I'm just going to erase that around there. It's just doing the same as this on that side. And then I'm also going to do, on this side I'm going to do where the highlights bend in and around here. And stick the light down here and back up to here, into there, into here somewhere, and move that. Oh. Again, this is just sorting out the highlight that runs around here and down into this crease down here. So this is going to bend down here. So I'll pull this well far out here. And really pull that down there. And then it's kind of, they kind of taper the highlights too, so you want it to be where it bends quite thick, but then where it runs on a nice flat surface quite thin, generally. try and get that kind of even. Pull that back in a bit. This one. You kind of want them to be quite, flowing and even, because a bad highlight is an indication of a bad surface. So get it right, otherwise it'll look terrible. And I know that this isn't quite right. See, this is where you could spend hours and hours and hours on Photoshop doing this. It's a dangerous thing to get into, because time just disappears. Right, anyway. Right, so I could be there all day doing that. Just going to select that path. And then on a new layer, I'm going to go white. Then I'm going to get a razor and just softly erase that. Take the harshness out of it, and then you get your highlight bending around there. So let's say if we ditch the sketch, we don't want that anymore. You start to see where this is all going now. Bring the sketch back for reference to the wheels. I'm going to rotate that so the axle line's coming down here somewhere. So about there. Duplicate that. Axle lines, something like so. And then again, I'm going to just duplicate that, scale that down. Scale this rear one up as well, just because it's close to the point of view. So with these two, I'm just going to select them, then I'm going to do a new layer, put it right on the top. And I'm just going to black out the inside really. Then I like to personally just soften the bottom up. Then I'll get these, I'm going to get a small brush, 3 pixel line probably. I'm going to make 100% solid. Then I'm going to, on a new layer, stroke. I've done them black. I've just done the whole path. Hang on. Delete that layer. I only wanted to do the internal path. Right, new layer. And extract that. Again, it's done that. Stop doing that, Photoshop. Why are you doing that? Right, now I'm going to press, because I've done them in black and then change the colour, I'm going to press Command I, it becomes white. So that's that. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to, oh come on Flash, what are you doing? Right, I'm going to get a 6 pixel line, actually pick a white this time, and on the same layer, all I'm going to do, I'm going to do a hotspot. What is it? Oh, brush. If you look at anything like a glass or something, they always do it. Hotspots always travel straight across. So I'm just going to put a hotspot down there somewhere. And then I'm literally just going to freehand some wheels in. Relatively harsh lines. So I'm just going to do my default. So what I do is default. It's twin 5 spokes. And I'm going to keep these quite loose, just because that's what I like. It's all subjective at the end of the day. Then I'll do the same again down here. I've got a softer eraser, true to my style. Softly erase all that. You could spend ages and ages and ages on your wheels, but unless it's a final rendering, I don't see the point. It's a waste of time, really. And then I'm going to select the inside, select those, and on the new layer below the spokes, just going to get white soft. I'm just going to catch some light. Now raise that back a bit. And then also knock that back. And then again on a new layer, I'm actually going to tidy these spokes up a bit, slightly thicker. Yet softer. So again, I'm just going to erase the middle. I'm not really happy with them, but hey. And there we go. I'm going to call that a day of that, because it's pretty much an hour. So, hope that helps with your rendering techniques and process, and then again just keep going through the process and keep doing it and doing it. But yeah, hope that helps. Cheers.